welcome back to Guided. If you're listening maybe with headphones in, you're maybe thinking, wow, this sounds amazing. The podcast has never sounded this good. Evie's voice sounds incredible. You'd be so right. I have got a brand new microphone. We are up leveling for the end of the year. December said, show me more. And so, yeah, I got this microphone and I hope that you are enjoying the much improved sound quality. So excited about that. I had to name it immediately. The second thing I'm very excited about is that if you're watching, jumping ahead of myself. If you're listening on Spotify, maybe have a second look. You can see me. Over the past, I don't know, it's been a crazy time. I recently moved house and then had to move into my parents' and then I've just moved back into our new house. During that time, Spotify have shifted and changed their podcasts and now they're kind of offering all podcasts as visual podcasts. So if you're listening on Spotify, have a look. I'm here. Hi. So from now on, every single podcast that I put out will be a visual podcast. If you were with us at episode 7, the bonus episode, that was a visual podcast. And the feedback on that was glorious. It was just so lovely. And since then, I have improved the visuals as well. So if you saw episode 7, you thought, oh gosh, Eve, yes, it was nice to see your face, but you were really fuzzy and the quality wasn't great. You're so right. That is totally right. So I have shifted and changed the quality of the camera as well. And hopefully you're enjoying that. If you're listening on Apple and you're like, what the heck are you talking about? Please come and listen on Spotify and see me. It's quite fun. It also feels like a brand new skill because I do use notes for my podcast to kind of keep me, on track. And they're kind of just off to the side here. So I'm kind of going between, and that does feel like a new skill that I'm learning, but I'm quite excited about it. I didn't want to have the laptop in front of me because it made me feel a little bit like a newsreader, and that is not the vibe of this space. I don't ever want it to feel like I'm delivering the news. So, welcome to the journey. Welcome. If this is your first time, wow, what a lot of new information for you. I'm so thrilled that you're here. Whether this is your 14th time listening or your first time listening, what a joy. Welcome to Guided. Today, on the 2nd of December, as we kind of begin to move towards Christmas, we are going to be talking about how we move from overwhelm and move into overflow. If you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, if you are signed up to my mailing list, you will know that this is the title of my brand new self-paced course, an online course that I created specifically for you, for those of us that feel chaotic and stressed out and just like we're being stretched too thin, pulled in every single direction. If that sounds like you, this course was created to help you move back into that grounded, energized, radiant state of overflow. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. But I did want to say at the start of the episode, well, I think we're like 5 minutes in now, aren't we? But at somewhere near the beginning, that today is the final day of the early bird pricing for that course. So if you had been thinking about that course, if you had been wondering, today is the final day to grab the course at £44. That's right. I have been offering the course at 50% off because I love you and I'm amazing. And that finishes tonight at midnight. So if you've been thinking about it, today would be a really great day to do it because everything changes from tomorrow. So I just wanted to pop that in there for you to be thinking about today. Muse on it. Don't muse too long because it finishes at midnight. A few other things before we get going into today's episode. This episode is really specifically created for you to be listening on December 2nd. If you're listening a bit later on, that's totally fine. Don't worry about it. But I think the December rush is I think the December rush can be really overwhelming. I think the fact that we call this time of year silly season is mildly concerning. And I think for those of us who maybe already struggle at this time of year, maybe with the darker nights, with the freezing cold mornings, maybe you've got SAD, whatever, kind of is your background, I think then adding in a lot of kind of heightened pressure can be really, really overwhelming. And so I wanted to kind of start this month from that place of stating that and knowing that and holding space for that. Because what we don't need is for all of us to kind of just join in with silly season and push as hard as we can and give in to hustle culture and buy 50 extra presents that we didn't need to, and for kind of the consumerism to become just so overwhelming. We don't need that. What we do need is to take exquisite care of ourselves, I think especially at this time. One of the ways that I am hoping to do that, an offering that I have out at the moment, is I'm offering a free meditation class every Monday morning. This is just a quick PSA because we're here and we're talking about it. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen them. If you don't, come follow me. That's the best way to get signed up. It's a free meditation class every Monday morning at 7 a.m. And I think if we can start the week from a little bit more of a centered, grounded place, that could help shift kind of the trajectory of your Monday, of your week, of December. So that is available to you all throughout December. We've done a couple of weeks already. Come and join us. If 7 is just not possible because you're running around after children, or that's when your gym class is, hey, don't worry, it's there on replay. But make sure you're spending some time to get really centered and grounded, like I just said, before launching yourself into this time. It's such a busy, overwhelming time, yeah? And you deserve to take good care of yourself. Here is a really easy, free way to do that. So that is just popped into my head whilst we were having this conversation. I hope to see you there. So today I really wanted to talk about how the Enneagram can help us in these very overwhelming parts of life. You know me, I think the Enneagram can help us at literally every single point and part of life. That's why I'm so obsessed with it. That's why I think it's worth spending all this time talking about. I think particularly it can be helpful during these really heightened moments because it offers us understanding. It offers us clarity. It offers us some really great ways to take good care of ourselves. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. If your nervous system kind of already feels a little bit dysregulated when we're kind of talking about the pressures of December and the expectations of this month and this season and kind of the festivities, if that raises your heart rate, if that makes you sweat a little bit, if that brings on a little bit of a headache, if your chest feels tight, then one of the easiest ways to regulate your nervous system is just to slow down. There are so many amazing tools to help you regulate your nervous system. The number one tool to do that really well, day in, day out, is always going to be just to slow down. It actually doesn't matter what Enneagram type you are. That is true for all of us. That is like a universal law that if your nervous system is feeling dysregulated, one of the quickest ways to ground yourself is going to be to slow down. And one of the quickest ways to have a really discombobulated, unregulated nervous system is to move at 100 miles an hour with a boatload of pressure for about 25, 30-ish days. And so that is why I launched this course at this time of year. That is why this course exists just anyway. And that is why we're talking about this today at the beginning of December. Because this kind of doing from a place of feeling like we have to, the doing of too much, the feeling of needing to meet everybody else's needs, the desire to do everything at a really high standard is not possible to maintain for that many days in a row. It's not possible. And so I think when we are kind of considering the pressures of this month and the doing too much, what I would like to invite you into is, instead of doing too much, how can we begin to feel fulfilled in what we are doing? So when I'm talking about feeling overwhelmed, what I'm talking about is feeling stretched too thin, is feeling scattered, feeling burnt out, feeling chaotic, feeling frazzled and drained, maybe feeling a little bit frustrated or reactive, maybe blocked, foggy, and an overall sense of disconnection. Does that sound like you? Have you felt like that recently? Are those feelings that pop up time and time again? Are they popping up a lot right now? And when I'm talking about overflow, what I mean is feeling expansive, feeling energized, feeling grounded, noticing that you're feeling really full and radiant. Maybe you feel really well-resourced and spacious. Maybe you feel nourished and clear. You feel intentional and joyful. And there is this sense of replenishment that meets you at the end of each day. That is what I'm talking about when I'm inviting you to move away from overwhelm and move into overflow. And I think there are really specific ways this shows up for each Enneagram type. Let me tell you about them. But if you don't know your Enneagram type, if you scroll down in the show notes of this episode, you will find a link to my Enneagram quiz. It's not very long. It won't take an age. Take the quiz, find out what type you are, and then send me a DM and I'll tell you all about it. I imagine your mind will be blown when I can tell you all these things about you that maybe you hadn't even put into words yourself, okay? That is not a, maybe that'll happen. That is 99% of the time when people discover their type, they are really mind-boggled at how I could know something so personal about them. It happens in every blueprint typing session. In fact, many people cry when we're in the blueprint typing session and we kind of are able to hold the wholeness of you in language that speaks directly to your heart, that brings a load of clarity about who you are with a lot of ease. So if you don't know your type, take the quiz right now. Take it right now, find out what type you are, and then listen and see if this resonates with you. So we're going to start with type 9 today, mainly because type 9s kind of always are at the end, and I just wanted to mix that up. So if you're a type 9, I'm thinking of you and I'm trying to put you first this season. Why? Because type 9s have the hardest time finding their voice. In fact, they ignore their voice, they let go of their voice to make way for the rest of us who are maybe more loud or dominant or boisterous or needy. Type 9s are really very beautiful in making space for the rest of us. And what that means is we need to make space for them. And so type 9s, I love you, I honor you. We're going to talk about you first. Type 9, or the peacemaker, or I actually call them the angelic ones because I personally feel that they are the closest to heaven, or whatever is next. I feel like they're the closest because they can be so angelic. So type 9s, kind of to that point, I think one of the biggest ways that you guys are going to find yourself struggling in overwhelm this season, this month, is going with the flow. Is saying, I don't mind. That doesn't serve you because you do mind. The opinion is there. You need to share it. I can't share it for you. I can hold space for that. If you love a type 9, if you live with a type 9, if you know a type 9, we can hold space for type 9s. And hey, you better. I will come and find you if you don't. But how can you resist that urge? How can you resist that urge to just meet everybody else's needs and say, I don't mind to all the questions being asked? And how could you maybe share what you would like to do? I would really, really be surprised if this didn't help catapult you into that feeling of overflow. That is going to make you feel more energized. That is going to help you get back into your body. Hey, if you didn't know, type 9s are both body dominant and body repressed. If you don't know what that means, one, you should book a blueprint typing session to learn about it. What that means is every type is dominant in a center of intelligence, the body center, doing center, the thinking center, or the feeling center, and also repressed or not very good at one of those centers. And type 9, because they're part of the inner triangle, I know I'm losing some of you right now, stay with me. If you don't know what that inner triangle is, head to my Instagram, there's loads of stuff there that will tell you about it. Or come look at my Substack as well. There's lots of information there. Or just send me a DM. You know I clearly love to yap. Hello, we've got this podcast going. Because type 9s are part of the inner triangle, that means that they are both dominant and repressed in their main center. So type 9s are body dominant, and doing repressed. And so helping type 9s feel more energized, helping type 9s get into their body is so, so critical, especially at this time of year. And so resist that urge, type 9s, okay? I want you to find a way to advocate for what you want, for what you need. I want you to advocate for what feels joyful. I want you to advocate for what feels peaceful at this time. I want you to be tapped in to your body. I want you to be kind of checked in with your body each day so that it's much, much easier to resist that urge of saying, yeah, whatever, I don't mind. And for you to actually say what's on your mind, to share what it is that you would like to do. Okay? That is going to help you feel replenished. That is going to help you feel energized. That is also going to feel a bit scary. You can do this. I'm never going to ask you to do something that you can't do. Okay? Never. What on earth would be the point of that? Try. If you can, if you've got space, give it a go. I'd love to know how you get on with that. Okay, let's jump round to type 1. The perfectionist. The advocate. So you already know, I'm going to say, you need to let go of the need for perfectionism this holiday season. Okay? Anybody else that vaguely knows the Enneagram is going to tell you the same thing. As a type 1, I know that is a redundant piece of information. It's not helpful, and it's just going to piss you off. Sorry if there are little ears around. So I am not going to ask you to just let go of the idea of perfectionism, because that is not helpful. What I am going to do is remind you that focusing on everything that isn't here is a surefire way to end up in that chaotic, foggy, overwhelmed feeling. And what I would like to invite you into is to focus on what is already here. I want you to prioritize the small joys, the little wins over the perfect execution. And I have actually just paused there because I'm a type 1 and I wrote this podcast episode. I came up with the ideas, so I know what I'm about to say. I've been prepping it for a little while. As a type 1 who is, trying to get into the festive spirit, that just hit me right in the center of my chest. Wow, this is like a real-time coaching with myself in front of you. How interesting. Will I keep this in? Yeah, I think I will. I think it's important to share stuff. This is how you know you're doing Enneagram work. This is how you know you're showing up to do your work, when your body has a response to it. So I just had a response just then, and I'm sharing it with you. I would love to focus on how to make everything perfect. I would love to focus on all the things that aren't here. But wow, what a waste of time. What a way to end up in that discombobulated overwhelm feeling. In fact, that happened this weekend when I was trying my hardest to come up with the best Christmas presents possible for my family. Guys, it was a time. Thank goodness I have a very logical type 5 husband to help pull me out of that. So I know full well, if you're a type 1, I see you, I know you, I honour you, I am you. How can we prioritise focusing on the small joys, the little wins? How can we focus on what's already here? I hope that's helpful, type 1. I hope that resonates. Okay, type 2, the helper, the friend. If you're a type 2, listen up. Type 2, I really, really, really want you to focus on how much you're giving over the next 4 weeks. Will 4 weeks take us to, that'll take us to January. Yeah, of course it will. I really, really, I'm so serious about this. And maybe some type 2s right now are rolling their eyes at me because, they make the magic happen this Christmas. And how dare I try and suggest we have less magic this time of year? I am not asking for less magic. I am asking for you to take yourself really seriously and not give from an empty cup, okay? Giving from an empty cup is a really great way to end up in overwhelm and stay there. It doesn't work. If it worked, it would have worked by now. It doesn't. That's why you're feeling so burnt out. I would say possibly for type 2s do I believe what I'm about to say? I think possibly for type 2s, this is the trickiest time of year if you celebrate Christmas. Because you know how to make the magic happen. Hey, I'm not trying to take that away from you. I know that is true. But when you give endlessly and give from a place that you actually don't have anything to give from, you're kind of giving from your proverbial overdraft, it doesn't make other people feel good. It doesn't make other people feel seen. It makes other people worried about you. The people that really know you and really see you. It doesn't work. Stop doing it. This is firm. Big Sister Evie is here. Stop doing it. I really want you to focus on how to create time with people where there is reciprocal giving. Okay? Now, I don't mean only spend time with people that are spending the same amount as money as you on presents. That's not what I mean. I mean reciprocal giving of the heart, reciprocal giving of the friendship, reciprocal giving of time, of love, of energy. I really, really, really want you to focus on that and stop trying to buy everybody else with your magical Christmas ways, okay? Stop it. If people are not giving back to you in the same way that you're giving to them, babes, they don't deserve you. You're not going to win them. Yes, it might feel like a form of rejection, which is very difficult if you're a type 2. But you know what? You can manage this. So stop pouring into those friendships, okay? And actually, as a type 2, I would maybe just take stock today, maybe take an inventory on the last 6 months. Where is there reciprocal giving? Where is there reciprocal love? Focus your time and energy on that. You're going to feel a lot more full. You're going to feel a lot more safe, which is a big word for type 2s. You're going to feel a lot more energized and free. Focus on that. Okay, type 3s, the achievers, the successful ones. That's potentially quite unhelpful, but I'm feeling feisty if you can't already tell. Type 3s, I really want you to release the need to prove that you're really brilliant. Oh, Evie, you've said this before for type 3s. I have. And because type 3s are part of the assertive stance, so they are fairly dominant in nature, I have to repeat myself 5, 10, 20 times for that message to get in. I really want you to release the need to prove yourself. It dysregulates your nervous system and it thrusts you into overwhelm, and you stay there burning out underneath patriarchy, underneath hustle culture, underneath workaholism. There could be other things there that feel more personal to you. I want you to connect to your body. That is going to help you connect to your feelings. I want you to quiet down the mind, and I want you to really release it. It's a big ask this time of year where it's really easy just to buy the really amazing gifts and show everyone how well you've done this year. It's really, really easy to do that if you're a type 3. I want you to get really still and really quiet, and I want you to connect with your loved ones in a really authentic way. that could look like a lot of different things. I also feel like the word authenticity has been used so much now, it is losing its impact. I am asking you to connect with people in a really real way, in a way that wakes up your heart center, in a way that, allows you to feel really loved and really seen, and allows you to really love and really see other people. What is coming to mind as I'm saying that? Do that. And if you're like, what are you talking about? DM me. We can chat about it. Also, you'll notice I spend less time talking about the assertive dominant types, and I just say things maybe a little bit harsher and maybe a little bit more direct, and I'm quicker with it because that's what they want, okay? So type 3, 7s and 8s, it's always going to be quick and punchy information. Why? Because types 3, 7s and 8s are quick and punchy. Okay, let's talk about type 4. The individualist, the romantic. So type 4s can get really nebulous really quickly. And sometimes that is deep creativity at work. It's amazing. And oftentimes that can kind of fall into overwhelm, okay? That can become quite overwhelming, the amount of kind of nebulous imagination, because there's no end to it for type 4s, yeah? Remember, this is the Enneagram. Your greatest strength is also your greatest weakness. You can't have one without the other. If only. I would not have a job if that was the case. I do. So for type 4s, we really want to focus on how can we stay grounded? How can we stay present? Okay? We maybe need to balance. We need to balance the emotional intensity that this season can bring. And the way that I would do that, if I was a type 4, would be small rituals that are kind of beauty focused, creativity focused, gratitude focused, okay? Let the simple joys of this season be enough. We don't need to transform and heighten every single moment. In the same way that when things are difficult this month, they will be. There's lots of family time this month, okay? There's lots of time with people that we love, close people spending a lot of time together. Communication is always going to be a big issue, always. We need to let the simple joys be enough. We need to let the simple disappointments fade away. We need to stay grounded and not get carried away with ourselves, type 4. I hope that feels okay. I hope when you hear me talking about how nebulous you are, you hear me talking about how brilliant that can be, as well as sometimes painful, sometimes problematic, okay? So get really focused on what those go-to grounding rituals are going to be. We cover rituals a lot in the Overwhelm to Overflow course. What are they going to be? Plan them now so that when you find yourself up there, ruminating, replaying, making up new stories about a tiny situation that happened, how are you going to come back down to earth? How are you going to ground? Okay, if you need help with that, DM me. Okay, type 5, the investigator. So, type 5s have a measured amount of energy on the Enneagram. They're the only type where energy each day is measured like a battery, like your phone, okay? Type 5s wake up with a fully charged battery and it depletes throughout the day, and there is nothing they can do to re-energize themselves, to kind of refill that battery, apart from usually being at home and being alone, okay? If you're not type 5, that will sound ludicrous to you. That's okay. That's okay that you and type 5s are very different. What's not okay is when the rest of us treat type 5s like they're not type 5s. And like dominant types, I am looking at you here. Type 1s, I'm looking at you. Type 2s, I'm looking at you, okay? So when the rest of us kind of put all of these pressures on type 5 to spend loads of time together, especially throughout the holiday season, if type 5s don't have any boundaries, that is how they're going to fall into overwhelm, okay? So I am asking you type 5s to stop yourself from falling into overwhelm by protecting your time. I want you to protect your energy by scheduling in your downtime. And I want you to own those boundaries, okay? I want you to engage with friends and family and other people really intentionally, really mindfully this season, and not because you feel pressured to overextend. When you feel pressured to overextend, that is when you're going to find yourself in overwhelm. That is when you're going to find yourself feeling really disconnected from yourself. Okay? So I'm asking you to protect that time, schedule it, own it. Okay, we've just been slightly interrupted by Sophie, who I think might be walking into shot right now. Sophie's my dog, for anybody that is not watching. She's a rescue German Shepherd. She sleeps for the majority of the day, and I thought she was having her long morning nap when I started filming, but girlfriend has just decided to get up. Soph, come and sit down, babes. Hi, yeah, come. Back to it. So type 5s, that is what I want you to focus on, okay? You can own those boundaries. You're allowed to put them in. You're totally allowed. You can't make yourself busy 100% of the time. You do need some connection, but you don't need to spend 100% of your time meeting everybody else's needs, okay? Okay. Type 6. Type 6, the loyalist, okay? So I always say that type 6s are just type 2s in the head triad, which some people might think, what are you talking about? I think that could be true. I think that is true, okay? So type 6s, I want you to become really aware of your inner committee. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should do a blueprint typing session, read some of my Substacks about type 6s. I want you to become really aware of your inner committee, and I want you to quieten them down and trust that you've done enough. Wow, it just got really dark and rainy on one side of the room, and it's still sunny on the other side of the room. Sorry if the light just changed, if you're watching this. I want you to find calm by leaning in to your favorite traditions. I want you to, engage in the rituals and the practices that help you feel calm, that create a sense of safety and connection. I want you to do all of those things that I always want you to do. And as Christmas begins to wrap up, as you have your work Christmas event, as you see customers or clients for the final time of the year, as you have Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate at this time of year, there are 11 different kind of major festivities at this time of year. Just be aware of that. Whichever one you celebrate, as those wrap up, as we move towards the end of the year, as we get to New Year, I want you to trust that you've done enough. I want you to quieten down the inner committee and trust, hold on to the fact that you have done enough. That is going to sound ridiculous if you're a different type. That is really hard if you're a type 6. I get that. I get that. And in fact, 2s and 1s probably feel connected because 1s, 2s and 6s are all part of the dependent stance. If you want to learn more about that, again, blueprint typing session, or head back to episodes 4, 5 and 6. I think we cover it in episodes 4, 5 and 6 as well. But if you're a type 6, trusting that you've done enough, trusting your gut, trusting that you did all you could do and you did it to the best of your ability is tough. And I want you to try and stay in that place, because staying in that place is going to help you feel more connected. It's going to help you move from disconnection, overwhelm, back into connection and overflow. And so that might look like voicing it out loud outside of your head. In fact, I think it probably definitely looks like that. And so having those trusted, really safe people that you can talk to is going to be really helpful at this time of year. I hope that helps. Moving on to type 7, the enthusiast. This is going to be similar to type 3 in that you have heard me say this before. This is not news, type 7. It is still really important though, okay? So do not switch off, okay? If you're type 7, I want you to not overcommit this season. However full your diary, your schedule is right now, I'd like it to stay that full. In fact, if you could remove one or two things, that would be really helpful. I really want you to focus on quality over quantity. Type 7's quantity is going to shove you into that chaotic, stressy, reactive place of overwhelm. And quality is going to invite you into that place of calm, centered, grounded, beautifully expansive overflow. You've heard me say it before. I will probably say it again. Please, please, please focus on that. Okay? Type 8, the challenger. Type 8, thank you for being patient. I know that is not easy for you. So, type 8s. So type 8s, we need to take a step back, okay? From controlling the outcome of this season. You can't control the outcome of this season. I know. It feels like you can. I know that. I know that. I see that. It's not true. You are not in control of everything. I kind of wish that you were. You're really good at making decisions, but you're not, unfortunately. And so you need to take a step back from trying to control all the different outcomes of this time of year. Take a step back from work. Take a step back from controlling Christmas dinner. Take a step back from controlling how people respond to their Christmas presents. Take a step back. Don't stop being involved. Don't cut off your heart and your feelings. I mean, literally just take a step back, okay? When you take a step back, what that leaves is a little bit of room. I want you to physically think about taking a step back, okay? What that leaves is room. And that room gets to be filled by other people who love you and want to support you. This feels vulnerable. To you, this is very vulnerable, okay? I'm aware that I'm asking that of you. Leave that space, leave that gap, let other people fill it. Yeah, let other people support you. Let other people surprise you. Let other people take care of you, okay? That is the biggest gift you could give yourself and others this season. I hope you find a way to do that. So those are the different ways each Enneagram type can focus on finding their overflow this kind of holiday, festive season, okay? I want you to chase this so hard over the next 4 weeks. I want you to take such good care of yourself over the next 4 weeks, okay? January is really hard for a lot of reasons. I think it's made a million times harder if we arrive at January the 1st, almost a month from now, feeling completely burnt out, feeling completely overwhelmed, feeling completely discombobulated. We know the statistics for people's mental health in January is quite scary. And I think if we could all focus on taking exquisite care of ourselves and exquisite care of each other, you haven't just heard about your own type there. You've heard about the type of your partner and maybe your kids and your mum and that friend from work who you're a bit worried about. You've heard about all the other types as well. So I'm not asking you to only just take care of yourself and ignore everybody else. I'm asking you to maybe send this podcast to people that you care about. I'm asking you to take note of how to take care of other people as well, okay? This work cannot be done by yourself, okay? This work is always about the collective, the community. We know that January is difficult. We know it's made harder if we arrive overstimulated, overwhelmed, kind of overdrawn on energy. What if we began January 1st feeling those feelings of overflow? Feeling really grounded and energized and expansive. In fact, I want us to maybe take a moment. If you're driving, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to invite you into this moment if you're driving. But if you're not, if you are sat somewhere, I would love for us to just drop into a visualization for one moment, if you can. You might want to close down your eyes. You might want to sit back in your chair. You might want to lie down. Find a spot that feels comfortable. Begin to notice your breath. And I want you to imagine those feelings I want you to imagine that burnt out, scattered, foggy, chaotic, frazzled, drained, blocked, reactive, disconnected feeling. I want you to imagine it draining from your body, from the top of your head, down through your body, and into the ground beneath you. And just notice what comes up in this place, where resistance is. It's there. That's okay. That's your brain trying to keep you safe. The brain is always going to choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. See the resistance. Take a note of it. And now what I want you to do is using your next inhale, is using your next breath in, maybe through the nose. I want you to imagine a really bright, beautiful light above your head. Notice what colour it is. And with your next exhale, I want you to imagine that bright, beautiful light flooding in from the top of your head and pushing out all that stagnant, burnt out, chaotic, frazzled energy. And I want you to imagine how that feels. With your next exhalation, I want you to imagine that expansive, radiant, nourishing, clear, joyful energy flood your body now through the top of your head. Feel as it trickles down through your neck and your shoulders and your arms and your back. And keep using your breath, keep imagining that bright light flooding your body, pushing out, kind of wringing out all of that old, overwhelming energy. And I want you to imagine your body being flooded by that resourced and radiant, spacious energy now. You might even want to use a bit of a sigh with your next exhalation. And just stay in this place for a little bit longer. Stay in this place. See how it feels. Take another deep breath. Hold on to the visualization a little bit longer if you want to. This is the feeling of overflow. This is the feeling that I'm talking about. This is the feeling I would like to be your baseline. This is the feeling that I'd like you to start your Monday morning with. This is the feeling I'd like you to finish your Friday with. And so as we begin to maybe come back into the room, fluttering the eyelids open, maybe having a stretch and a yawn and a shake, this is what we're talking about. When we're talking about those different techniques for each Enneagram type, we're not just adding something else to our plate for fun because life's hard enough, why not make it a bit harder? We're talking about how can we find that ease? How can we make space for ease? How can we tap into ease? How can we tap out of that overwhelm? That is what I'm inviting you into this month. And you could use that visualization anytime you want to. Use that to come back to kind of center you, to remind you of what your task is as your Enneagram type, to take good care of yourself. When we're taking good care of ourselves, inherently that supports the collective, that supports the community. Yeah, it's not selfish. It's just really, really smart, okay? And as we come into land for today's podcast episode, for today's session, this is why I have built Overwhelm to Overflow. And as we come into land for today's session, I want you to take stock of how you're feeling, how you felt at the beginning of the episode, how you're feeling now. If there's been a shift or a change, if your nervous system feels more regulated, it might be that my online course could be really supportive for you during this time. The online course is a 6-module course. It is developed to fit around your life. There's no kind of rhyme or rule about how to do it. 6 modules fits really well into 6 weeks. Fits really nicely into 6 months. You could do it however and whenever you want it, whenever it feels supportive, however it fits around your life. But if you know that maybe already on December 2nd, you're already feeling stretched too thin, it might be time to take some really good care of yourself. It might be time to jump into a very nourishing 6-module course filled with meditations, filled with visualizations, filled with a self-care audit, filled with energy mapping, filled with finding your energy leaks and making some changes. This course is not about adding in a million new things. It's about saying, hey, something's not working. I feel exhausted on a Friday when I finish work. I don't feel excited for my weekend. I dread Monday morning because I'm still so tired. It's about saying, hey, there's a problem there and I'd like to make a really nourishing change. And this is the way to do that. Today is the final day of Early Bird. Make use of it. If it could be helpful for you, make use of it. I, of course, am there to support you throughout the course via email, direct message. I want to be with you on the journey. In fact, I've had some lovely, lovely conversations with people that have already signed up and have begun the course. It's a really nourishing place to be. And if you're wondering, how can I create space for myself this month? This could be a really lovely way to be guided in that space, to be guided in creating that lovely, nurturing space for you. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope that you take good care of yourself. And if anything resonated with you from today's podcast, I would love, love, love for you to leave me a comment. I would love to know about it. What a joy it's been to share this time with you. Have a great rest of your day and your week, and maybe your December. And I'll see you next Monday at 9 a.m. Take good care.